Quick Dick coming to you here today with a Quick Dick Toonie, where you get $2 with my opinions, because 2 cents don't buy you very much anymore. Today, we're talking about the Canadian oil and gas industry. Now, we're going to be doing this Quick Dick style, so you pay the hell attention or slow the video down, because we got a lot of ground to cover here, folks. Now, this isn't going to be some video where Quick Dick's going to sit here and preach at everybody that we need oil and gas, so you better get used to it. This is just a simple, quick look at some of the places that we can find oil and gas in our lives and how we get them. First of all, let's have a look at where we find oil and gas products being used. And Quick Dick can assure you, you're not going to have to look very far to find those. Ugh. How did this glorious shower get so hot? Oil and gas products. Why is it so damn cold outside? But then, when I come inside, it's so damn nice and warm. Oil and gas products. What powers our vehicles and all the farm equipment that we use to feed the globe? Oil and gas products. What the heck is used to make our mobile talking device thingies, our computerized thingies, and even our plastic food storage container thingies? Oil and gas products. Furthermore, how do we get those fancy gadgets into our hands? Well, we get them from planes, trains, commercial ships, and of course, don't forget good old-fashioned commercial transportation, which is powered by what? Oil and gas products. What makes the tires that we drive our vehicles on? And furthermore, what makes the pavement that those tires drive on? Oil and gas products. What about our healthcare system? What makes tubes and syringes? What makes ventilators? What makes PPE that our frontline healthcare workers use to protect themselves? You know, like doctors and nurses that work at our hospitals. Don't forget about the workers at our extended care homes. And of course, our first responders. Oil and gas products. I want to take a moment to stop this segment and thank all of our frontline healthcare workers for carrying us through this pandemic with your bravery and resilience. You always have been and always will be heroes to us. Thanks for putting your life on the line every day to make sure that we can continue on with ours. We appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts. Speaking of frontline workers, what about those that have chose to serve and protect us? Can anybody tell Quick Dick what's used to make Kevlar? I'll give you a hint. It is not a Kevlar tree. Oil and gas products. Speaking of which, here's another shout out to RCMP, city police, sheriffs, and armed forces. All those of you that have put your lives on the line to help protect people, we thank you. What about playground equipment? Is Quick Dick starting to get his point across? Now, if you're like Quick Dick was way back in the day, here's what you think right away when you hear oil and gas industry. Well, that's just not the case at all, folks. So why don't we have a quick look at what it takes to actually get oil and gas products into our hands that we as people can use here in Canada. Now, before we get going, here's a quick disclaimer to all you hardworking folks out in the oil and gas industry. Quick Dick knows he's going to miss a whole bunch of stuff in this. We're just doing a quick notes edition so everyone gets a general idea of what this takes, okay? If I missed you, get down in the comment section and call Quick Dick an asshole. Seismic and survey crews map it out and find it. Now, what's a few things we find in our economy that it takes to make seismic and survey crews work? It takes personnel to run that seismic and survey crew. It takes ATV dealerships, pickup dealerships, mechanics, and of course GPS and mapping companies. And then it is time to make the lease and the lease access. Construction crews come in with track hose, sheep's foot packers, cats, buggies, graders, and they make the lease and the roads leading to them. Then it's time for drilling rigs to come in. Now that takes drilling rig crews, rig movers, rat holers, water trucks, pipe trucks, cement trucks, vac trucks, tool hands, tong trucks, tank rentals, and on and on and on and on. Then once the drilling rig's done, completion crews come in for completion operations on the well. Now this takes wellhead companies, coil tubing, wireline, frac crews, fluid management, well testers, bulk trucks, and on and on and on. Then normally, once the well's completed, facilities are constructed on the well site. Now this step takes engineers, fabricators, fitters, welders, instrumentation, electricians, pile drivers, cranes, and on and on and on. Then the well gets tied into a pipeline, which has to be put in by a pipeline crew. Now this step takes pipeline crews and welders and helpers and inspectors and CAT operators and traco operators and on and on and on. Oil and gas products then get shipped to upgrading and refining facilities, after which they're made available to customers. Now this takes more operators, instrumentation and electrical trades, commercial transportation, and on and on and on and on. Now, ongoing care and maintenance of these wells continue long throughout their life cycles. Now this stage takes operators, swabbing rigs, vac trucks, tank trucks, pressure trucks, snubbers, coil tubing rigs. Of course, don't forget about service rigs. Now, a lot of you are thinking, well, QuickDick, that seems like a lot of services. Well, guess what? We're not done yet, because all those services require headquarters and an office that requires support staff. How about QuickDick and Morty take you on a quick tour and show you how many other businesses depend on all these services? Mechanical and tire shops, parts supply stores, hospitality services like camps and hotels, welding and machine shops, road maintenance, grocery stores, truck and car washes, restaurants, gas stations, and convenience stores. That's a hell of a lot of stuff, and we haven't even begun to scratch the surface, but I think we all get the point. The unfortunate thing is that the Canadian oil and gas industry has been labeled as dirty, which is not the case whatsoever. Ask anybody that works in the oil and gas industry here in Canada, and they'll tell you that it's quite the contrary. Now, here are a few of the many things that the Canadian oil and gas industry does here in Canada to reduce their environmental impact. Fun fact about oil and gas well sites and pipeline right-of-ways. The trees that are harvested from them are taken to local mills that are used in the softwood lumber industry. Now that's two industries helping to reduce environmental impact. Horizontal drilling's made it possible for drilling rigs to set up on one location and drill several wells in different directions. This, combined with walking drilling rigs, means that they don't have to bring rig movers in to move the rig every day. This is a huge reduction on environmental impact. Did you know that drilling companies and frac companies have started burning natural gas instead of diesel fuel to greatly reduce their greenhouse gas emissions during completions and drilling operations? That's a hell of a good step. You see, even frac crews pump produced water versus fresh water whenever possible, and in some situations, they've even pumped sewage. Imagine being the poor bastard that has to go shoulder deep in this suction manifold to clean out a turd. Now that's some commitment to a healthy environment. There's actually oil and gas companies here in southern Saskatchewan that buy carbon emissions and use it in oil and gas extraction processes of their own, rendering themselves carbon negative. Tell me that's not a commitment to environmental sustainability. Now, these are just a few of the many things that the Canadian oil and gas industry does to keep themselves not only the most environmentally responsible producer of oil and gas products in the world, but also one of the top exporters of it. Now, QuickDick, why have you gone on this journey showing us where oil and gas comes from and how we get it to our houses? Well, folks, as you all may know, we're in the middle of a global pandemic right now, and it's pretty important to look at where things come from that are actually keeping us alive. You see, our oil and gas industry not only keeps us fueled, but it keeps our economy fueled as well, which QuickDick's hoping a lot of Canadians can see at this specific point in time is a pretty damn important thing. The Canadian oil and gas industry has been decimated by this federal government since 2015. Then a production war between Saudi and Russia kicked it in the guts. Then COVID-19 dumped gas and threw a match on it when we saw global demand for oil and gas fall through the floor. Now, the Canadian oil and gas industry reaches out to the federal government for help, a federal government that they've contributed hundreds of billions of dollars to over the last few years. And the federal government responds with a $1.7 billion orphan well cleanup program for Western Canada. Now, all of these things happening, and our federal government makes an investment of $1.7 billion into an orphan well cleanup project in Western Canada. Can you imagine investing $1.7 billion into something at this point in time in our economy that is going to show you no return on said investment whatsoever? Who makes these decisions? Now, how come in 2009, during the financial crisis, we could scrounge up $13 billion for the Canadian auto sector, but we can only round up 1.7 for the oil and gas industry on a cleanup project right now? Are we setting some money aside somewhere for some kind of people that wear fancy socks bailout that we don't know about? You see, back in the Great Depression, the federal government actually paid people to build fences in something called the Prairie Farm Rehabilitation Act, which provided drought relief to cattle producers. Cattle producers who had a commodity that everybody knew was going to be worth something once they came out of this terrible financial turmoil. Why wouldn't we do the same thing right now and actually invest some money into some infrastructure that would help make our commodity worth more and more available to the world when this glut comes to an end? Here's an idea. Instead of blowing $19 billion a year on importing crude from around the world, why don't we invest in our own infrastructure and use Canadian oil and gas? Spoiler alert, Alberta's already doing it with the Keystone XL. All you gotta do is just look to the west. Unless you live in BC, then you gotta look east. But they're already on the right track. I mean, what would better complement the Keystone XL pipeline than adding energy east and the Northern Gateway pipeline, getting our product to multiple markets so that we had some sort of say in the price of it? See, you would hope that what a responsible government would do would be to invest in industries that make up like 10% of their GDP and employ 500,000 Canadians that can actually start contributing towards clawing their way to $230 billion worth of debt. Then could you imagine said government using the revenue generated by that industry to grow Canada in an environmentally responsible way in which we can all continue to do business, like investing in renewables and nuclear? Oh, wait, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing with our carbon tax revenue? See, working towards more environmentally friendly energy sources is something Canada should continue to do. But if we choose to ignore the fact that the globe is still going to need oil and gas products, we're committing economical suicide. You see, Canada could and should be a leader in all these energy sources, but in order for us to get the ball rolling on any of them, we need an economy that's actually making us some money to do so. Because hopefully we can see that for generations to come, we're going to need revenue off things like our oil and gas industry to claw our way out of debt that this free-spending government is dive-bombing us into. But that's just how Quick Dick sees it. This is Quick Dick McDick and Casey signing off, reminding you there's only one way this storm can be weathered, and that's one big Canada all working together. Right, Casey? We'll catch you next time. Let the comment section dumpster fire begin!